All right. So yes, so thank you very much, Jonathon, for agreeing to chat. I'm really interested in the idea behind the Pontiac Group. What was that all about? You and your partner Jacob Taylor got it started.
Yeah, we got the business started, providing consultation, community engagement work, working with chief and council, working with the band administration. We only worked for First Nation governments,
Mm-hmm.
supporting the organization, primarily focused on building economics, supporting the nation and economic development specifically, and having both myself and Jacob both status First Nation band members from our own respective communities. We had some understanding on how politics and economics work within First Nation governments. So we came together to support First Nation communities doing that work.
Mm-hmm. And the core ideals that drove the business during the time that you were running it, what were some of those core ideals?
Well, it was really just to empower the community as a whole. So how can we support the nation, providing helping build the nation? How do we help build the nation and provide communal benefit?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the reason why we got into the business was, how can we support First Nation governments and empowering the community? How do we make it a better place to live?
Mm-hmm. And some of those short and long-term goals, what were they involved? How are they involved?
What do you mean short and
Well,
long-term
if you
goals?
had, when you first got started, you
Mm-hmm.
had some ideas around building connectedness, delivering niche marketing, and delivering a sense of connectedness between communities,
Mm-hmm.
helping communities, empowering them. Were there things that were more long term? I mean, I was quite interested in the fact that you got started as a bit of a think tank in thinking about innovative solutions to problems, and also making a connection between Indigenous business and mainstream business as well.
Yeah, so really it was the community that gave us problems. What were some of the problems that First Nation governments were facing?
Mm-hmm.
It was mainly just what are the problems, and try to seek some solutions. And so one of the problems that was brought to our attention by a deputy chief, deputy grand chief, was logistics and bringing in supplies into community.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually a very specific problem that the chief was enlightening us about, which was a woman who passed away because she couldn't get an oxygen apparatus in time.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these remote communities, they don't have just-in-time delivery. They don't have infrastructure within the community to support health issues.
Mm-hmm.
So they couldn't get access to an oxygen apparatus. So we looked at just-in-time delivery solutions, and through LinkedIn, reached out to the founder of Drone Delivery Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a discussion. We talked about their product, their solution. They were a very early stage company, but they were on the Toronto Stock Exchange, and the founders ran companies in the past, so they had good experience, business management experience. And they had a vision of providing delivery services in Vaughan in the Greater Toronto area. So when we came to them, it was outside of the original scope, the original vision. And we said, there's a real need in the north, and we think that drones could be that just-in-time delivery solution for northern communities. So we started that path about in 2016. We started those discussions, and we supported building the vision of what it could potentially entail with First Nation governments, and how we can support First Nation governments having infrastructure for just-in-time delivery. Using drone technologies, which is, at the time it was never done before. So very innovative solution.
I think it was Amazon that was at one point talking about doing drone deliveries. But you made it a reality. You made it a reality for northern communities, and it worked out well.
Yeah, we started with a pilot where we were working in Moose Cree First Nation, and they have, of course, the spring and fall ice breakup. So during the spring and the fall, chunks of ice make it impossible for ski-doo or boat to travel between the island and the mainland. So what they were using was a helicopter. So a helicopter would go from the island to the mainland, and of course it's very costly to use a helicopter. So we looked at how can we use a drone to deliver products back and forth. It was only about it was less than 4 kilometer distance, so it's not a significant distance. Of course, the weather's the biggest challenge. It's north of Cochrane, Ontario. Moosonee would be the closest township. You experience -40, -50 degrees Celsius temperatures, which is not conducive of battery technologies and drone technology. So it was really a pilot that we were working on. Is can we prove concept with a battery-powered, electric-powered drone? Can it handle the weather, and can it be at a lower cost than a helicopter?
Right, and it worked out.
We ran many trials. Unfortunately, the company decided to run with the project without us, and so we were on a 1-year agreement, and they decided to go ahead and continue the next year without us. And unfortunately, they experienced some difficulties, experienced problems by both parties. And then we were brought back in actually through Air Canada Cargo. So Air Canada Cargo was working on a relationship with this company, Drone Delivery Canada, and Air Canada Cargo said, we need the original group, me and Jacob, to come back in and to support with getting more projects off the ground, and to ensure that the project was delivered successfully. And I think that was a learning from the company, early days learning that you do need support to liaison between a corporation, a publicly traded corporation, and a First Nation government, right? So so I think it was a lesson learned for them, because they ended up bringing us back on board, but it was actually through Air Canada Cargo, as they were very interested and expanding their cargo fleet to include drone technologies.
Mm-hmm. So it worked out well, and the knowledge that you have really applied in that situation and helped them.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, you've been involved in a few different areas with the business. Do you have an anecdote or two when you said, "Hey, this really makes it all worthwhile. This has been a good thing. It's been a good experience."
Yeah, it's always difficult working with government. It's within First Nation government, there's 2-year elections typically. So every 2 years you're getting a change in leadership. So that's always been tough. But for us, it was really inspiring the next generation to think about innovation, employment. That's not your traditional mining project or forestry project, which are, the traditional, typical employment opportunities for First Nation youth is, working within the natural resource sector, the extraction sector, and that's not really conducive of our traditional values, right? Of digging up Mother Earth or cutting down trees. So, from my personal standpoint, I think we inspired a lot of young people to think outside the box, that, there are innovative solutions that are becoming more and more readily available. And as technology progresses, the cost of technology reduces. So it creates, unique business opportunities that were not always there in the past. Now that we've gone highly digital with COVID, I think that people can start and run businesses for a fraction of the cost. Now that we've gone digital, and now that technology has reduced in cost, it's created opportunities for First Nation youth, to start new businesses within the tech sector. So I think that from it's always a feel-good moment when a young person comes up to us and wants to learn how we got started, wants to learn how we got here, and providing that mentorship to the next generation is always those feel-good moments.
So you see a positive future for Indigenous business and more connectedness with what we would say, I guess, are the mainstream businesses that are out there?
Yeah, I definitely see a huge opportunity for entrepreneurs, Indigenous entrepreneurs. And, you could see many great Indigenous businesses such as Cheekbone Beauty, which now has their makeup line in all the Sephoras across North America. You see, just many up-and-coming First Nation entrepreneurs that are doing really well and are getting a lot of attention in social media. But I do also think there's still that big opportunity to stay within our traditional values and how we can start businesses that align to our traditional values, that we don't always have to enter the dominant culture to make money, that we can make money in our own communities, on our land, with our people. It is tough working with outside corporations, because they have a very strict mandate to hit profitability as quick as possible. And, from a First Nation perspective, we're more concerned about the people and the environment over profits. So it's a bit of a conflict, really, the two worlds. So it's difficult to work with corporations, but the stance we always took was, we're we are of the people and we're for the people. You know, so we ensured that the corporation slowed down and really thought about the impacts that they would have in the community, and just to broaden their scope, broaden their purview, to not just focus on profitability and, you know, how quickly they can get a project off the ground. That, you know, we have to ensure the community has been well engaged, that they understand what's going on in their territory, that the youth are involved, the elders are involved. You know, so it's a very different pace than, you know, a public company, how they operate. So it is difficult for these two worlds to come together, and you know, it's just with experience. But as long as you stay true to your values, you have the courage to speak up, you're not intimidated by, you know, corporate Canada, that you know, as long as you speak with the truth and you speak with the honor of our ancestors, you know, you'll be guided in the right direction.
All right. Well, I appreciate the time. I don't have any other questions, but thank you very much.
Yeah, not a problem.